There's also a real effort, at least on a qualitative basis, to say, okay, this is also helping us as a company or as a decision-making engine to make better decisions.
Right.
And are people buying into that when you have those conversations?
They are, because part of it, the experience you would have as a client is, as you talked about, having those SMART goals. So the SMART goal was, I'm going to be more open to input and be more open to people's feedback.
Sure.
And then what we actually do is we do little mini, whatever you want to call them, experiments, tests, to try it out. And we assess the results. And we actually have them identify somebody who's actually in the moment there with them to help them assess the results, learn from that data, and do the next exercise, and then do the next exercise. So at the end of the day, they've got 6, 7, 8 experiences where they're in a real meeting dealing with a real issue, and they are doing personal feedback and getting someone else's feedback on how they showed up at that meeting.
Okay. So you mentioned you were going to give me 2 examples. So you have an individual and
an
corporate.
organization.
Yeah. So what about the organizational thing?
Let's say it's a question of decision making. And I'd always want to know, what does that mean to you? And people say, well, we're taking too long to make decisions. This is a recent example again. So you want to quantify, well, what does that mean, too long? Well, a topic's brought up, and then it's deferred to the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and all of a sudden 6 weeks later, we still haven't made a decision about it. So what I do is I do 2 things. One, understanding, well, what's been getting in the way? But more importantly, there's also probably a technique or a procedural piece that's missing. Now, classic thing in companies, people, organizations, teams don't do a very good job of what I call decision framing. So they don't identify clearly, what is it we're actually deciding? When do we need to decide it by? How? What's the process we're going to use in which to make that decision?
Yeah.
Who's going to be involved and not involved? Okay, and what is the criteria we're going to be using? So I now know that a decision has to be made, but not in 6 weeks, we're going to make it in 3. That 6 people are going to be involved in making the decision, but one of them is the actual decision maker, so you call that out. You turn around and you say, but wait, on the other 6 people, we're going to have you involved in making the decision, and we're going to call out what the criteria is, whatever it is, cost, quality, speed, something.
Yeah.
So it's predefined. And what we find is we look later and we say, well, how are you making decisions now? The same kind of a thing, and they can actually tell, well, here's what we're doing differently. And they can point to very specific things.
Does it go smoothly like that, or is it like you run into sabotages and people undermining the process, or you get kind of mixed results there?
Oh, people sabotage in an organization? Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
No. Does it go smoothly? Sometimes not so smoothly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that group as a whole is committed to being better.
Yeah.
Because if someone isn't, then where are we going to go with this?
So then you can at least pinpoint, okay, here's the potential problem of why we're not able to do this.
Exactly. That's what you want to do.